Estoy testeando la luz, a ver si anda bien, para que haya buena iluminación. A ver, perfecto, creo que sí. Vamos a ver, tal vez tenga que encender. Ahí va, vamos a ver si ya con eso estamos en la luz. Ahí está mejor. A ver, ahí. Ah, perfecto. Así que acá con el matecito con jengibre. ¿Cómo va? Hey, Jota, ¿todo bien? Acá la estamos hablando a Clara, a Ailin, a Jerry. Bueno, así que... Oh, acá, a ver, vamos a... Acá está. Hey, ¿cómo andás? ¿Todo
Buenas,
bien?
¿cómo estás?
Bien, bien,
¿Qué onda?
justo...
¿Cómo
Estamos...
extraños? Vivos, por el
Sí,
amor
tenemos
de
que hacer más.
Zeus.
Mira, el martes, si querés, le dije a Carlos Ortiz del Bogotá Horror Fest, que está ahí también armando varios proyectos. Y vengo de un rodaje que estamos haciendo de Visiones Oscuras. Filmamos ya 2 cortos y tenemos que terminar La hija ahora en 2 semanas. Ya van 3. Así que nada, estoy muy cansado, consiguiendo nada, financiamiento, haciendo de todo. Así que nada, pero está quedando muy lindo, ¿eh? Así que con fuerza. Pero agotado, pero
Eso es lo
feliz, feliz.
importante.
Y encima cosas Lovecraftianas. A vos te va a gustar, así que es Lovecraftiano. Pero bueno, y tengo más ideas. Estoy ya enloquecido. Hay que decirle, tengo una idea con Chucho y Elvira Oneto, de que tengo que decir a Elvira.
La de Loop,
No, es otra cosa, es más cortito, es para filmar en un día. Lo de Loop es, no sé con qué, si querés lo podemos hacer con vos, o sea, Loop es una locura, o
yo
sea,
me...
eso va a estar divertido.
Escuchen una cosa, acabo de ver, yo sé que se estrenó hace bastante y sé que Argentina va a llegar seguramente mucho más tarde, pero
Muy buena.
la de A24, X Factor le
Sí,
dicen,
sí, la
pero
vi.
se llama X, ¿de verdad? Es buenísima, porque por más
Sí,
de que tiene muchos lugares como clichés
con-
de terror en cierta manera,
sí. Es
yo
que
siempre
se
digo,
burla un
puede
poco de
ser, el tema no es, quizás hay gente que dice que ya están todas las historias contadas. Yo no sé si
eso.
están todas las historias contadas, pero la manera en que las contamos es también lo que hace que una película sea buena o mala. Y X
Mm.
es preciosa, es muy divertida, honestamente, sí, estamos en el mes del aniversario de Alien, ahí está la Sota que, bueno, somos unas fanáticas de Alien, y estamos en el aniversario, este mes es el aniversario, el mes de Alien, de verdad, sería el mes de Alien. Así que estamos para hacer en cualquier momento con la Sota una maratón de todas las películas de Alien. En breve.
Buenísimo. Pues. Uy,
Hi,
buenísimo, yo me entiendo.
Hello.
how are you, Jerry?
I'm doing good. How are you?
A
Very
ver,
well.
estoy buscando.
What?
Okay. Working on that connection again, as always.
Oh, hey, Aileen.
Hello.
Hi, hello. We're
Hello.
going to start in English right now. Aileen, Jerry, Aileen.
Nice to
Ailin.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She's the actress from our film that we're going to speak of today.
Yes.
Yo la amé tu interpretación, me encantó, zarpada.
Ah, ya, ¿en serio la viste? Gracias.
Sí, pero muy buena. I'm sorry, I'm going to speak in English. I'm saying that I really enjoyed watching her, and although it's a difficult film to take on as a lead actress, I think. And it's a movie that you keep on watching because I think that you carried it in a perfect way. The perfect way is like in a way that you believe the character and you empathize with the character. And that was really well made, and that was what I liked the most about the film. I think it was that I really enjoyed your performance.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
really enjoyed doing this character because it's like kind of difficult and I don't know. It was amazing.
You actually you filmed it in 10 days, so
Yes,
it was kind of
yes.
stressful.
In 10 days and in two parts because first of all it was going to be a short film, and then Federico changed it and converted it in a film. So
Ah,
Mm. Jerry is
Oh,
a fan of the US. She watched Leni. She wrote a wonderful article about the film. I really love it. She's a horror fan.
writer also, and a writer of horror films right now, I believe.
Yeah,
Say so.
we
I
will have. We will,
not say anything about what you're planning and doing, Jerry, but I plan myself taking a bit of information from you.
well, that's very nice. And yes, this is definitely my genre, and I love it. And when I first saw Leni, I was blown away, and I reached out to Fede, the director, and I just really wanted pretty much to have people in the US find this movie, and I've been waiting patiently for it to find its home here because it is a really powerful film, and your performance in it is really amazing, and I think that's what really makes the film because you're definitely vulnerable in this role. So I'm just curious what I know you said it was a short film, but what kind of drew you to this role?
with the what? I'm sorry.
What drew you to being in this film? I mean, what was it about the role, or what was it about Fede?
Yeah, the thing that the role it was difficult because she has a kind of two personalities. So I during the whole film, my character is all the time confused because she thought that someone is in the house, and after well, I'm kind of spoiling the movie for those who didn't see that, but it's difficult because I don't know how to get into the role. It was like a sensorial thing. I was really introvert in that time, so I was. The thing is like Leni was into myself, and I was really dark during the role in the movie. I was kind of dark as person, and I'm a really cool girl, and I was really dark in that time. And I don't know, the first scene in the movie, I was like eating something in the catering, It's like, well, we're going to do this, and I was like, okay, let's go. And I did. I don't know how I did that. So
was it filmed
this is
the pandemic season? I mean, were we in quarantine when it was filmed, like in a COVID-19 phase?
no, it was in 2019.
Before everything.
Yes.
I think that is something that I really want to just highlight about what you just said, that it was a short film that became a film. This is something that happens, I think, a lot sometimes when people start, or sometimes the short film is done and then it's presented to be like a sort of teaser for a long film. I mean, that's what happened with, for example, in cases of Argentinian directors, I saw Mama from Andy Muschietti. I don't know if you saw, Jerry, if you saw the short film.
Oh, no, I haven't seen the short.
The short, it's 2 minutes long, and it's a sequence. I mean, there's almost no cut since the beginning to the end. And el corto de Andy Muschietti, Ailin, el de Mamá. 2 minutos.
No lo vi.
2 minutes, and it's just a sequence plan, and I honestly think it's brilliant. And Guillermo del Toro saw that short film, and he reached out to Andy Muschietti, and he said, I want to do the film for this short film. And he said, okay, let's do it. And they did. Mama, I think it was the translation, that it's the one, I don't know if you saw it, with Jessica Chastain, and I believe it's the guy from Game of Thrones. And about two girls that are left alone in the forest and then found out like 7 years after, and well, there is something, some evil spirit that came with them from the forest. And also there's a short film that it's amazing, also like 2 minutes long, that it's called Lights Out. I don't know if you saw it, but the short film then became a film. I think the short film is way better than the film, but it's like a process that I think it's done a lot, the going between a short film and a film. And I insist that sometimes if you have a very, very good story in a short film, you have to go ahead. And what you said about Leni, it's amazing, because it's that, maybe you said here in Argentina we do this, that it's a 10-day long film. I mean, in 10 days here we can film a film. I did that also in 10 días, 10 days to film a long film, and do that sort of result is something that I believe it's mark that we have as a film industry here in Latin America, because we don't have so much money to do things, but we do have talented people that are filming and that are writing and that are making the film so that it has the same quality as a film that is done in 3 months with a high budget. So that is something that I think is very particular about our film industry here.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting with Leni and not knowing what the short might have looked like. But the hardest thing, I think, with the transition between a short film and then making it into a feature is maintaining that level of suspense. And because, you know, the more you explain things, the less suspense you really can capture. And the longer the film, it really takes a lot. And that was something that really stands out to me with Leni. And I think part of it is because of the sound design and the music and the atmosphere that Fede builds with you. I mean, because without those things, we're kind of walking through this woman's life and we know there's something wrong, but all those things, it feels like, well, first of all, the film feels very tight. It's like a very tightly wound film, so that when it finally unravels, you know, you're really left like kind of at the height of suspense. But I think that that's something that not a lot of films kind of do when they transition from the short to the feature length. And I think that that's something that was really captured with Leni. And hats off to the sound design. I don't know if that was Fede as well. Probably did everything, but
de la película Leni. I'm speaking with the people that are asking questions. Estamos hablando sobre la película Leni y tenemos a la actriz Ailin, que es una grosa que la rompe la peli y que nos explica un poco de cómo la hizo.
He did a wonderful performance. Actually, there's a lot of people. I organize a film club, and I made like 60 people watch Leni, and there was a big discuss about the film. And I was joking with Fede because there are 1,000 theories, and Fede was laughing because some of the theories are really crazy. One guy, for example, thought that, I will try not to spoil the film, but I mean, in the final scene, there was a lot of bodies. I mean, another one thought the monster was a representation of, the people underground. It's amazing. Did you receive these kind of interpretations? Because really, it was really interesting to discuss the film, because a lot of people have amazing idea about what's going on, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like thinking different finals also. Like people saying like, I think she didn't kill him or whatever, Mm-hmm. But the good thing that Fede for me did with the movie is like the end is not a complete, you can imagine things because I was talking with a friend that saw it with me, and she said, I would like to the end explain she has the different personalities. So when she walks into, she thought it was her ex, and it was she actually, I don't know, whatever. And I said no, because when you do that, you close the what you think or what you imagine at the end. And I think this is a really good decision for Fede, because the end is open, and so you can imagine different finals. This is good.
But yeah, actually, I love that Fede did decide not to over-explain. So it's a common mistake. A lot of the dialogue is just precise. I mean, just precise, and then you see the actions. You see what happened to her. There's a lot of explaining image, and that's what wonderful. Oh, by the way, the monster, it's wonderful. I love it. The design.
I think that what you just said is really important, like to just highlight it again, about the non-explanation or the excess of explanation, because I think that the most important thing about a horror film and the horror genre, and maybe all genres, is the part where you let also the audience create the story. So there's a need of like this mystery. And I remember this anecdote about Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick, when he was filming, when he got the project of The Shining, El Resplandor. I remember that he said that he read the book and he said, I will do the film. I will do this film, and this is the story. But then Stephen King said, I have the storyline here. I have the script written. And he said, what? He read the script and he said, no, this is trash. I will do my own script. And he changed something that, I'm so sorry for saying this because I'm a huge fan of Stephen King, but I think that Kubrick did the better job, that is to get suspense in the film and to open up some explanations that are done in the book that are not done in the movie. I mean, until the end, we don't know if it's all in the head of the character or if it's really happening. In the book, you just read that, yes, and the ghost appear, and suddenly you're, okay, it's a ghost. So this explanation is... Stanley Kubrick said when he was interviewed about the film and why he changed it, he wrote it with a woman that I can't remember the name, that he writes a lot of his scripts with this woman. And he said that they were both Lovecraft's fan. And he said that Lovecraft is the king of mystery. There is no explanation from where it comes or where it will go. It's just a story that we can just see it for a short while, get into that universe, and suddenly we disappear from it. Sort of like the sense when you say there is an open ending, I think that there is that opportunity of the audience to get their interpretation there and maybe do their own catharsis in the film. I mean, when I spoke about Leni with some of my friends, some said, oh, it really triggered me about some trauma that I have from the past. And I asked for the trauma, and I said, I never got that feeling, that maybe I got it from another place. But I think that is a really good way of watching films. Like everyone do. Like, for example, when I saw Midsommar, Ari Aster film, I saw the movie and the ending was a relief for me. I really enjoyed the film, and the ending with the smile of Florence Pugh was like the crown of the cake. I think this is an amazing ending. This is an amazing film. And I said, I love this ending, and this is like the perfect ending for me. And some people said, I really hated the ending. Like, what the fuck is going to happen now with that girl in the middle of the mountain? And I was like, it's not about that. It's about the feeling of, I think it was, in my case, I took it in the feeling of the loss of someone and the process of the internal processing of the loss of a person, and the feeling an outsider of the society because you're broken inside. And that smile in the end is something that is broken and that is also coming to become a flower again. So I think that is why there's lots of flowers here in the film. That's my interpretation, but it's not. It's not really. So I think that this is the most beautiful thing of films, when you get that, when you get the possibility of not so much explanation, but more about getting the atmosphere. That I think that the atmosphere that was created with the music and the cinematography and everything was amazing, and your performance took us along that ride in a perfect way. I think that it was beautiful.
And I think it's a good thing. Don't underestimate the spectator, right? Like, don't think that they won't understand what you are doing. Like,
Exactly.
this is really important for me, and because if you explain so much, you kind of thinking that the people that's going to watch your movies kind of stupid or whatever, you know. And this is for me it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think that the biggest difference between at least maybe like American studio horror and independent horror from all over is that instead of being told how to feel, which is what a lot of the, you know, studio big budget films do, they're telling you how to feel by wrapping everything up and explaining everything and not giving any room. And a lot of indie horror is letting you kind of sit back and breathe with it and think about it and make your own decisions. And so a lot of times as a writer, when I get notes that are like, you know, we need this explained fully. I mean, I think a part of the reason why I connect so much with Fede and his work is I write very similarly. And I love to see that represented on the screen, and that he gives his actor the room to kind of breathe in the role, and he gives the audience the room to think. Like, you know, I've seen a couple of comments like, I thought this person killed this person, and you know, the interpretation, like Clara says, that's what it's for, you know. I mean, there is always room for fun, you know, explosive jump scare horror movies, but I love that space to explore stories. And when you trust your audience to, even if they don't understand it, think about it and challenge themselves, I think that's like a beautiful part of horror, especially because, you know, so much of horror really does encourage the viewers to look deeper than kind of what's on the surface. So I really love that. And I just think that Leni represents that so well, personally.
You know, watching the latest Scream movie, the one where there is a lot of conversation with the audience, I believe, about the difference between jump scares and elevated horror. Like in the beginning, Wes calls I think it's not that it's, I really didn't enjoy it like my full sense of watching Scream again. Like, for me, Scream is the first film, and it's a masterpiece of Wes Craven, and it's amazing. And it's a new kind of slasher that talks about film inside the films. But the latest one, it's funny because at the beginning of the conversation with the killer that she has, they have a debate between elevated horror, like the 80s. It's not trashy, the word, sorry. I'm a huge fan of the 80s horror. But about the difference in giving everything up, or like, I think there is two ways. It's like eating a burger with fries and you enjoyed it and everything, but that maybe you get something with more veggies and you get more nutrients in your body. And it's, both of them are food and you can enjoy them a lot. And sometimes you need to eat a burger and sometimes you need to eat a salad. I mean, that is sort of difference that I think is in this kind of horror. But I think that it's important because I think indie films are a place where we get the more freedom for everyone in the creation. So that's something that it's like something to mark, and I think that it's really good that people can enjoy something that is almost non disturbed thing that the director and producer and writer given us. And maybe there is a really good director and really good writers that are really cracked down from production to do something that, for money, it's okay. But sometimes we need to have our freedom to express what we have to say. And sometimes it's something that I also see that it's something that I don't like. It's when they say it's plus 18 or plus 13. Like, that is something that changes absolutely how you can give the audience something. Like, if you give under plus 13, well, there is a lot of things that I cannot show you. And there is that I think that happened, for example, if I had to say something that really happened to films, the It recreation of Andy Muschietti. I think the It of Stephen King is one of my favorite books. And it's a book that it's really harsh, really cool, and really heavy. I think it has a lot of, I mean, there is a part of a mutual, the orgy of 11-year-olds. So it's something that when I read it, I was like, what the fuck? This is not what they showed me in the film in the 90s. And I think that when I saw the first part of Andy Muschietti film, I really enjoyed it because it was really like similar to the book and really faithful to it. And when I saw the second part and I saw plus 13, I think they put it down a notch on the age. And that is something that really, I think, limited the way of telling the story about this existence and this being and the reality of the story, and everything was lost in the second part. I think it's a pity because I think that they were more interested in giving again the kids a chance to dream when it was the part of the adults. I mean, if you read the book, you know that there is a part of the kids and about the adults killed kids. So that is something that I really said, I wish someone was brave enough to tell this story. I mean, maybe not the group orgy, but the story and the cruelty of every single detail of the story of Stephen King's It. But I don't know.
I think that comes down a lot to money too. You know, when you're dealing with big studios, and I don't remember exactly who it was that Andy Muschietti worked with, but obviously, you know, there was a lot of money around it, and just the truth of the theaters, you know, like they want to bring people in and they want to be able to bring kids in. And I mean, there's always a little bit of a discussion on, you know, kids should be introduced in, like, there should be movies that introduce kids because there are some thematic elements. I mean, I definitely read and watched It Too Young, the miniseries. But that was my gateway into horror, and it was what kind of shaped me at a very young age to where I am today. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that see that kind of thing as a bad thing, and they think that kids can't handle, you know, certain themes. And that is, kids shouldn't be handling maybe the orgy scenes, but kids know fear, you know, kids understand fear. This is another thing that Leni kind of addresses, because you're talking about somebody who was shaped from a very young age by trauma, and it's who she is, and I'm not going to say what, but it's very impactful in the story. And you know, that's a negative, obviously, but film isn't something that traumatizes. You know, it's something that opens doors and opens eyes and opens creativity. And that's what it did for me as a young girl who was already kind of, I already knew what fear was at a young age. And, you know, so it's like again, it comes down to trust. So these studios want to make sure that we have nice, easy horror for kids and fun for teens and stuff like that, which I do think that there is a place for. But when it's at the detriment of the story. So when it's already a story that's shaped like the Stephen King story of It, and it's very bleak and very dark, and then we try to like lighten it to, you know, appeal, that's I think where it goes wrong. You know, when you're really twisting the moral fabric of the story, as opposed to creating new art that will reach those audiences that you want to reach. And
Yeah.
that's just my personal opinion on the studio system.
No, but it's okay what you're saying, because you said it before. I mean, I started watching horror films like from a really young age, and I think I really resonated with them. There is something that in me was there before and maybe needed words, and also it's a form of expression. Sometimes when you watch a film, it resonates with something that it's inside you, and maybe you don't know how to take it out, or maybe you feel afterwards like this sort of very lightening sense of feeling, like sort of comfort when you watch these films. And I think that in my case, I had a really rough childhood in a sense, and I really got into horror films really young, and they were my escape from all of everything that was going on around me. And I adore monsters from a very young age. And I always say that to me, the monsters are the most beautiful thing that I can watch. And maybe I'm more afraid about people than the monster that I watch. People say, no, aren't you scared? No, I'm scared of you. I'm not scared of the monster. Like, what? And so it's really beautiful, because the sense that it opens up a door inside of us that maybe it was already there, and we really enjoyed it by opening it with maybe a film that speaks about something that it's a metaphor, but that resonates inside us, and it's something beautiful to feel. And we shouldn't be able to cut that from happening. I mean, just because of, I mean, these stories are already made. Don't make them try just because you want people under 13 to go and see it. I mean, let's just tell the stories that are faithful to the book, and then we can do another film. I mean, they're great actors, and the kids really resonated with the young versions of the protagonists. But I think that you shouldn't be afraid, and as we said before, we should trust more our audience, and really think that these people are really waiting for. I mean, it's a Stephen King book. In the case of it, people will go and see the movie. And in any case, I think that that is just something that there are, when you are making a film about a book, there is already a fandom there. And maybe that's something that you have in mind when you are doing the featured and recreating this film based on a book, because you will have people that will get very angry.
That's right.
Of course, I just always say make something new.
Well,
a friend from Mexico, La Jota, asked if Ailin is a fan of Alien too.
La Sota.
Are you a fan of
I
Alien.
know why they say that.
¿Fan de Alien? ¿Te gusta?
No, I never saw that.
Mira.
No? It's good.
But someone wrote that. I read it.
Yeah, actually, one of the films a lot of people compare to, because we did this discussion comparing Leni with Censor of Prano Bailey-Bond, actually with Prano, when he's feeling better. We hope we can put it together, because Censor is a film that has to do about it's a wonderful thriller, psychological thriller, and both are related at the same time with Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, the inspiration of Black Swan. And that's something I really appreciate about this film, because, okay, it's a small film, but it's strong, like the character says. The character...
Was
sorry?
it inspiration, really? Or was it...
No. Black Swan, actually, he bought the rights to do the remake. So Aronofsky changed the thing. But the thing is about Lenny, it's small, but it's well done. I mean, I talked to Fede and a lot of people that are script writers. The script is like, I mean, there's a lot of elements well done in this film that it's difficult to find good psychological thrillers. I mean, I know when I told Fede that I said it was a wonderful psychological thriller. I mean, there is a movie nominated to the Oscar, Argentinian movie called, I don't remember one, that is a psychological thriller. It's not really good. I never understood why they don't nominate Leni for the Oscars, because it's a much better psychological thriller, and you are wonderful in it. And you can see that Federico, it's a true fan of horror. I mean, the other film, I don't remember the name that was nominated for the Oscar. You can tell that the director, I mean, she's just saying, oh, let's try to do this horror film, because they never have done it, and you can tell that. But Fede is a true fan, and you can see that in a film. And the script writing is so well done. I mean, it doesn't matter, it's a small film. You can see every detail. I mean, when Leni has the hickey, I mean, you can then think, okay, now she's got at the night, she starts dragging, meeting men, and then she doesn't remember, and you can, put all things together. And the backstory of Leni, I don't know if with Fede you talk about the backstory. I don't want to know that. I know the father is a terrible person. I know that, but I don't know what he did to her, and that's so wonderful. Do you know? Don't tell me, but do you know the backstory of Leni?
No.
You talk. I
No,
know.
I don't. No, I don't. They never told me anything about that.
But did you create something? I mean, I don't know what your process is as an actor. Like going into something like this, did you look at this role and think, like, I'm going to go in kind of like the id, and just work off of emotions, or did you create something for Leni? Just personally,
I don't know, because I don't have so much memories of me rolling that. That's why I felt like I was really dark. So I think maybe what I create was the atmosphere of Leni, So something that Fede always tell to the people that is that he didn't say me anything about acting. It was like he said, okay, we're going to roll this scene. So I was in the set and wrote it, and he didn't say anything about acting. So I don't have memories, because I think that I think Leni was born during the film, the role in the film. So I think this is my creation.
It was a tell-day experience. It's very fast for a film. Actually, I remember Fede telling me that he didn't sleep during the shooting of the film. Something I believe in, because to film in 10 days, it's crazy. I mean, I understand. I mean, people. I hope he recovers and he can do more films. But this is his first film, and it's that good. So we hope. I mean, would you do another film with Fede, a psychological thriller or a horror film? Because I know originally that Leni was going to be a slasher film. I know that. So would you do that with Fede?
Yeah, of course. Everything. And I was thinking about the scene with the therapist, and when I watched the scene, I saw how the therapist, I don't know if therapist the word, but kind of soft Leni. I'm really bad in English, okay? And I realized what I did when I watched it. It was like really real what's going on there. It felt like that.
When you say the
it
monologue,
felt like that.
that even though you say you know what's going on, but you honestly can't change it and you want to sleep. You're talking about that.
Yeah, but I Fede wants to sleep, right? You said that, right? That Fede wasn't sleeping.
Sí.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
No,
Yeah,
actually,
that's the monologue she was talking about. And you can feel that too in the film. Like you can feel the sleeplessness is a huge part of it. But that monologue in particular struck me personally when I was watching it the first time, screening it to write about it. Because I really felt like, and did Fede write this? He wrote this film, right? This is his creation all around. Yeah. So I found it really fascinating, the level of understanding he has for like the female experience, because a lot of what goes into this movie really resonated just on a basic day-to-day level, you know, walking at night and feeling like there's somebody behind you, and that kind of paranoia, and then also just not feeling safe around people that you should feel safe around. And I felt like he really captured that that feeling in the script. And then your performance was, you know, what really hit home in that therapy scene is just that feeling of like, I don't want to die in fear. I felt like that was a very powerful moment, because that's just a reality that a lot of people that aren't in a psychological horror movie feel. And that was just very impactful for me watching it the first time and then watching it again today.
Yeah.
No, really,
I think
it's an amazing.
It's a good scene to understand what's going on in Leni's head, you know, in Leni's mind, and it's I don't know if Fede or the photography did something, but it changed my face when I start talking, you know, like kind of the light is lighter, so maybe you can watch her like changing. Why do you say like relief? Okay. I'm talking about this. Yes.
No, actually, and there's another the thing you started, Jerry, about the film. It touched a lot of social themes, like the paranoia they feel women in society, but they treat these themes in a very subtle way. I've seen a lot of films that they do it in the wrong way. I mean, because the first film, you're telling a story, you have to remember that. Then you, in the background, you can put all these themes. And the way these themes tell this problem, these social problems, I mean, women are affected by, it's so well done. This is a good film. This is a really good, social thing. And again, with horror, or in this case, psychological thriller, is a great way of talking about these themes without, I know how you call a movie that is trying to, tell you a message in a direct way. This is not the case. You talk about these themes by telling a story, and that's the way of doing. And that's for me that's an amazing thing. I mean, I that's why I promoted a lot this film, because I think this film deserves to be really more known. I mean, I as a moviegoer, as someone who loves cinema, I get angry with I see these kind of films that are so good. I mean, they deserve. Actually, I send thousands of messages to pressure people to put it in cinemas here in Buenos Aires.
Well,
that's what needs to be done.
I think that it's also something that we should, as a society, promote more, is about our own content in the cinemas, because it's something that I think we struggle a lot here in Argentina to get the opportunity to have a visibility when we are watching films that are maybe indie films. But I say it's more beautiful to say it indie films because here in Argentina we say película independiente, and I think that there's something there that really doesn't agree with the people that are maybe they want to go to the cinema. Well, what watch? I don't want to watch this. Maybe it's crap. And it's our own movies, and maybe people from other places in the world have watched them and really appreciate our fans. And here in Argentina, maybe we cannot have the opportunity to watch it in the cinemas. It's something that is crazy. Like some films that I made, for example, were on cinemas in Mexico, and here were never ever seen in cinemas. And people from like in United States, it was on cinemas like 2 weeks. A film of mine, The 100 Kind of Games. It was in English, that we made it in English. But people were speaking about the film, and they were writing me maybe on social media, and here nobody saw it. I mean, it was never on the cinemas. And I think that that is something that we as society here in Argentina should also, I think, improve our way of consuming more our own cinema of any genre. But I think more about a horror genre that is growing a lot. And I think that is something that people should realize, that we are doing very good films that are a success all over the world. And we should have more space here in Argentina to watch those films. That may, for example, here, Batman was, it's on cinemas, and it's been, I don't know, more half released. And maybe that film is something that will stay like 3 months on the cinema. And a film that is our own film, that was filmed here by our own people, is just 1 day on the cinemas, and then we have only one cinema that keeps on showing the film, that is Cine Gaumont. And that is something that I say, why is this happening? I mean, why do we promote so much what comes from outside and not so much our own content, that it's so good? And even though it's independent, it doesn't mean it has low quality. It has very high quality, because people here are capable of doing films in 10 days that are actually the same as any film with a high budget in any other country. And I think that that is something that I really protest here in Argentina, that people should go more, and cinemas should show more and content everywhere. So that is something that I always say.
I agree with you.
Sí, re. Bueno.
I had the privilege to go to see Leni on cinema. That was an amazing experience, because it's a movie that you enjoy it more in cinema. And the funny thing is, when people start talking about the film, they were very traumatized with the ending, and that was really, really good. I mean, Fede was really happy about that, and I understand. I mean, yeah, that's. I mean, it was great, and then we hope. I don't know. In the US, you can watch it on Amazon, but I don't know if they have like a commercial release on cinema. I don't know, Jerry.
I don't believe so. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it anywhere. Amazon definitely has it, but you know, like independent filmmakers in the US don't get releases unless it's with like a A24 or something like that, you know. So there's a lot of the streaming options, but there really isn't anything like seeing, you know, movies on the big screen, especially really atmospheric, vibey movies. Like you want to be able to sit and kind of be engrossed in the story and not be able to get up and walk around and not pay attention. But you know, it's hard here to get anybody to pay attention. Obviously we're much bigger, and you know, we're dealing with the Hollywood system, but I tell you, I watch a lot of genre movies for my work, and the comparison is I don't even watch like most of the big budget movies that come out, because I I feel nothing from them. Like, I really want to feel something. I don't have to be challenged every movie I watch, but I enjoy being challenged, and I enjoy watching really creative things. And I always find that first and foremost, you know, in the independent scene and from independent filmmakers, that's what's exciting. And I just don't think that, you know, the theaters really care about what's exciting. They just kind of care about what sells. And we're a special bunch, you know. I mean, the horror fans, and especially the indie horror fans, I'm always trying to encourage people to watch more, you know, to really seek out different things. And that's why I write for, you know, publications like Ghouls and places that are encouraging finding new and different types of films and different types of stories, instead of sort of just the same feeling and the same glossy look. You know, there's nothing worse than a glossy horror movie. You know, Leni is definitely not glossy.
No.
It's beautiful though, you know. So just because something, and it's great production value and high quality, but it doesn't look like it's just been ripped out of the pages of, you know, Vogue.
But what you said is something, no, what you said before, that I think that is something that I really appreciate of films, and Leni has it, that story with a female lead that really makes me resonate with her. And that is something that I think in my case, it's something that it's also like a condition sine qua non. Like, I see a film, like if I like it, it usually has a female lead, and with a female story writer. I think that, and Leni is very particular, because I thought that you wrote the story of Leni, Ailin. I thought that you wrote it because, as Jerry said, it's really like, it really portrays very good the female psyche. I mean, the way we maybe through trauma see the world, or maybe sense of feel ourselves sometimes. And that is something that I felt and I resonated with. And some of my friends that watched the film also said this thing. It triggered me because I sort of lived something very similar with something, and this resonated with me. And I think that that is something that I really appreciate. And in any story, even if it's a book or if it's a film, that I resonate with the lead. And usually to resonate, in my case, I think that 90% of the time I needed to be a female lead, and a female story, and something that is true. Like, I love that maybe you didn't have any makeup on, and that your skin was able to show when you were feeling your emotions. And that is something that I really like. That it's something that it really shows the 100% a story about a girl. And for me, it's something that I say, okay, I'm okay with this. I can relate. I honestly, that made me stick to the film and continue watching. And obviously, as I said before, it's also the way that you take us, like an audience. You are the lead, and you have to take us by the hand and just get us into the world of this film. And I think that is something really beautifully done. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I what was talking about the female lead, you know, for me it's amazing in this movie that the female lead, the protagonist, it's a strong woman. That is something that people, you actually, is kind of weak, and comes the man to rescue her and whatever. So I think this is really amazing in the movie, that the female lead is a strong woman. So
yeah, and that is something that we were talking a lot with Jerry, like the way that sometimes stories are told, because females, we are very strong. I mean, why the fuck do we need someone to help us? Like, we are women that are struggling ourselves in a daily basis.
Yeah.
And we know that we can do this shit. So sometimes when we talked about sometimes when a story is led by a girl but written by a man, it's something that is really visually noticeable. I think, I don't know if noticeable is something that exists, but like I can see, okay, oh, she's so adorable and beautiful and it's a female lead, but I think that is not rock bottom for me. Rock bottom is, I mean, more sort of like the Babadook and not I don't know, I think it was Queen's Gambit, like Anya Taylor-Joy, or all joyous in the Coco Chanel,
Yeah.
like
Mm.
and
I do.
and that is, no man, I'm like in my pajamas eating ice cream and crying, and that is something that I like more in a daily basis. And the truth about strong lead, that's something you said, and that is why Alien for me is one of the best fucking cinema. And that is Sota. They're my friend Sota. We are fans of Alien, and we believe that Alien is the movie that changed the female leads almost. I think in horror genre, Ripley was the female lead that changed horror genre with female leads and the way a woman is portrayed in the cinema. And it's very crazy because that character was created for a man. So Ripley, Lieutenant Ripley, was going to be a man. And had like a sort of conversation right before they started the pre of the film. And they say, why don't we cast a woman for this role? And I think it was like a divine intervention, because we are talking about the 70s. We are talking about people that were almost with zero amount of money to do the film. Well, they had money afterwards, but not so much. It's considered a very low budget film, the first one. And they said, okay, let's try this. And I was like, how they changed history of cinema and the women portrayed there. Like Ripley is a fucking badass that takes away, even though she's feeling scared and she's very vulnerable, she's also wants to survive. And to survive, she's really like transformed herself in a sort of like a great fighter and has this strong personality. And also she wants to save the fucking cat. Like I would, like there's a million there, the ship is about to explode and you're going to go and risk everything from Jonesy. I mean, why? But that is something that I really enjoyed about the film. And also the fact that no one in the cast, especially Ripley, uses makeup. She's makeup free all of the film, and she's transpires all the film, and she's so pure and so beautiful that I think Sota is the one that's making the heart shapes, like the because she's such a fan of this film. And that is something that I think that makes light on the subject that women should be portrayed more as equal, in the way that we don't need someone to save us. We can save ourselves. And we can also, I think for me, it's more estético to watch a female and not a male lead. In my case, it's like most of the stories I usually read, and well, what genre? It's a boy or girl in the lead. I need to know, because it honestly really affects if I get a hold of the movie or not. Like if I had to step in a movie, I would really like it to be with a female lead. And if it's a strong girl, that is something that will get me all the way through the film, honestly, without any of distraction. If not, I will just stop the film, go and take an ice cream and pat my cat, and I don't know, and suddenly get Instagram at the same time that I'm watching the film. That is the truth.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say that there's a huge difference too between like a strong female character and somebody like Ripley, who was written as a man, but they didn't just take that character and make it a woman who is just a man. So there's a lot of times that a character will be written as a man, and then they'll be like, let's just throw a woman in because that's good representation. But then they don't change the character. So the character is still beating the shit out of grown ass men and doing things that, you know, women are not as strong as men. Like in Alien, it's not like she's beating the shit out of the aliens. She's using all of her resources, and she is a real woman who, you know, instead of just like this is who we're going to throw in, make her hot, and now we've got our, you know, diversity quota. And in Leni, you know, Leni does everything. Like she goes and gets her own locks, and she beats the shit out of that guy, which was like the best part of the whole film. I mean, that literally made me want to go buy like a baton and just keep it in my pocket. But you know, there's a lot of other films would be like, oh, okay, well, she's gonna need that romantic character to come help her pick out her lock because she probably doesn't know how to change the lock. And it's so ridiculous to say it out loud, but it happens all the time that, you know, there's this preconceived notion about how women are, and it's either, yes, always in full face makeup and sexy clothes at home, which is ridiculous, or I can't do anything for myself, so I'm going to need some help from, you know, the men in my life. And there's just really something to be said. And I do think that that's a part of why horror is often so great, because there are a lot of times where women are left to their own devices, and a lot of it's what we would actually do, you know, think before we act and use all of our resources to survive. And yeah, I'm the same way, Clara. I'm drawn to, you know, female characters, but I want them to be there for a reason, not just because they're women. And that's, I think, like a big aspect that it isn't always present, but definitely needs to be, you know, fully formed characters. All we're asking for.
And also, I think that there is a lot of I don't know how to say this, but we are really complex beings. It's not that I want to throw flowers on the fact that I'm a woman, but the fact that our body are super complex in comparison with the men. So it's not that I'm shaming men or anything, but I'm saying that we go through a lot of shit, hormones and stuff in our body that is good horror material. I mean, that the fact I loved Babadook in that sense, because it really played a part about being a mother without wanting to be a mother, but wanting to be a mother, but not wanting to be. Like, I resonated so much with the lead of Babadook and the story, and because the fact that this woman was having all of her trauma and anxieties and maybe shit going on in her complex mind and soul, and also trying to raise a child with the difficulty that it's raising a child by herself and everything. And I think that is something that I think it's so beautiful and so amazing that we can, well, it's what I said before. Maybe it's something that I love, that I resonate with, and that I appreciate a lot when I get to get a hold of a character that, in a way, it takes me by the hand, directs me through the film from beginning to end, with no distraction, and I really get into the atmosphere. And we were talking the other day with Jerry about Jacket, that it's like sort of the Lord of the Flies, but this time told with women and how they get lost. This group of girls that get lost in the middle of the wilderness and have to survive. And honestly, it's something that, well, I really like the film because the show, because it's a slow burn. That is something that I like, more like indie style. And the suspense, the atmosphere. I think that the atmosphere is something that it's really important. Like, you don't have to rush into things. Sometimes when you suspense, and that is something that I find in Leni a lot. The atmosphere, maybe it's just like well, in the beginning, like the beginning of the film, when you're shouting and screaming, and there's like the camera, it's like trying to find where are these screams coming from, and it's, I don't know, it's a couple of minutes until we find out what the fuck is going on, and I think that beginning is very powerful. And maybe some people will say, "But I want to see the blood. Where the fuck is the blood and everything?" And show me who's screaming like in the beginning. And that way of turning, I think that is something that grabbed my attention. I think that I think it's really important how a movie starts and how it ends. I mean, everything is important, but sometimes you watch a film and it starts really good, and suddenly you watch the ending and you kill yourself because you just wasted a lot of expectation in a nothing. But I think that this is a good film in the sense of beginning, middle, and end. I can see that the story envelops me and really takes me through this experience, triggers things inside me, like the sensation that I feel things. And the reason why I feel these things is that I also have a moment to feel them when you're speaking. Maybe you're just speaking, or maybe you're just crying, or maybe you're just in your home. And well, I'm speaking about the character, and those things are just atmospheric takes are what make me connect with this, that resonates inside me with your film. And that is something happened, and it's
Yeah, I mean, you should really, Ailin, you should really do more of these films, especially work with Fede, because really it's amazing. I mean, as I told you, there's a lot of people in Argentina, and when they watch the film, they say, "Oh my God, this is from Argentina, but this is amazing." Because, I mean, really good, and there are all horror fans, and one of the things about the horror community, it's a very loyal community, it's a very passionate community. So they start recommending, as you can see, a lot of people on Instagram start posting, Leni, I mean, when are we going to watch this? And I mean, filmmakers have to realize how powerful that is. You know, the pressure, I mean, especially from indie horror, because, you know, we are all like freaks from high school that exchange recommendation. I mean, I'm in a lot of WhatsApp groups, you know, and we say, come on, guys, you have to watch this. And a lot of people say, what amazing performance of Ailin. I mean, because these kind of films, they need a good performance. I mean, that's mandatory. You have to, and it's really amazing. I mean, really, I was joking with you the other day when I say, well, we are going to have you know, Leni 2 Unleashed, like something, but that would be great. I mean, but there's a lot of story to tell, and a lot of opportunity for female leads. That, I mean, well, we have to wait with it, but there's a lot. I have a lot of, you know, friends that they're looking for, you know. I have an idea of here. Jerry's writing something. Maybe you can you know, cast Ailin and Clara for the same project. What do you say? I'm just saying. Would you?
Done. I'm there.
Can you work Clara, Ailin with Jerry, and you can do a film? I'm just saying, you know, as a fan, I'm just.
I'll come to you.
obviously I would love that.
Yeah.
I also love the fact Ailin also directs, don't you, Ailin?
Oh.
Yes. Yes,
Ailin, do you write too?
Yeah, I write, I direct.
Wow.
Yes, I'm nowadays I'm writing my first movie. So.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
That's wonderful. I'm getting ready to direct my first short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like there is a collaboration in the near future on this page here.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, we should work on that. I mean, really, I mean, that would be amazing to see. You can travel to the US, or Jerry, you can come here. Don't worry, we'll prepare everything.
Like I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
So,
Now, like attacking my feet, and I don't know how much I will survive this state of my like. Go away. She's like bad mood. I don't know why, and she started like rolling at me like right now, and I'm like, okay, gotta get.
what I want to do it's that mainstream cinema, they don't show these films, but the other day in the Triumph Horror Fest that we organized with people from Mexico, Colombia, and the US.
About that.
No, we will do a live to talk about the short films, but I have this idea. We can rent a projector and project this kind of films, because we don't need cinema if we can have our own cinema, and it's kind of easy, nowadays. We can do that. We are thinking of doing that. So, we can project Leni and organize a big, premiere, and, because really, it's, again, if you do something good, you have to, show it to everyone. And trust me, Ailin, there's the horror fans there's a lot of horror fans in Argentina, and they would love to know your film and watch your performance.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Ailin. Thank you, Clara, to be here. Ailin, you're welcome to come and talk about. We talk about sci-fi and horror, and we can recommend you films. Watch Alien, please. That's
yeah.
Today,
it's on my list.
Okay.
Today, I'm going to watch it today. I promise.
Extendida version, like. The extended cut, that actually I want to say something about this because it's important, and the reason why I'm saying that watch the extended cut is that when Alien was released, the producers thought that Ripley was really aggressive in some parts of the film, and that really it was not feminine for Ripley to be such a badass. Not a badass, because it's not that she's a badass, but there is a scene that it's a particular scene. I will just spoil it because you have to watch it, even though. But the scene, you saw the extended version, Jerry. The scene where she found out where the crew was, and it was the nest of the alien, and her crew members were stuck on the wall and dying. And I think Dallas that says, "Kill me," like, and she just she's with her gun and the laser flame. I don't know how you say the flame thing, the one that Leonardo DiCaprio uses in a story. Llamas, and she actually has a moment in herself that the people there are asking for her, and she knows the people, and they're asking for her to kill them because they are suffering and they are dying, and they are honestly in the agony of dying, and to make it fast, and she says, I can't do this, and well, she gets the guts and she does it. I would do that. I think it's, if I was in Ripley's situation, I would honestly just accede to kill those people that were suffering and were to die horribly. And the producer said, no, this scene is too strong. It's too gore for a woman to do something like this, and let's not take it out. And then years later, we saw that cut, and it was so amazing. I'm really like, well, the film is amazing, even without that, but that scene just made it even better. And I say, like, fuck, like, why would you take this beautiful scene? Why? Well, it's not for a woman to kill crew members, so.
Well, James Cameron put that in the second one, and then Jean-Pierre Jeunet put it in the fourth one. And by the way, I love the sentence that says, the line that says, Leni, chiquita pero fuerte, because it's the film. The film is small but strong, like the character. Oh, by the way, when I met you in the cinema, you are very short. And I say,
I'm really shocked.
but
Small
that's
but strong.
kind of interesting, no?
But strong. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for
guys.
organizing
Well,
this.
Here
Was
we
an
have to
honor
we
to
have
meet
to
you.
with Clara to talk about the short films because there were some of them that were amazing, and I
Yeah.
have the chance to make.
Of female leads on the short films that were chosen.
Right?
I was
Well,
where the fuck are the female leads of 30?
the short.
I saw female leads.
Uh-huh.
Almost
Yeah.
shut down the trail. I didn't, but I was a bit.
No, but but the idea is to do the next one in 6 months. So to to do the more wider to call a lot of countries, a lot of people, so we can have more films. Because if you have more films, you're going to receive a lot of film direct. I've been talking to Pachi Cuerva.
Female leads.
I know. I've been talking to Pachi Cuerva. Pachi Cuerva he has a film, horror film directed by a film festival with short films directed by women from Chile. So I'm in contact with her. So we're going to do like alliance, so we can have more, because her festival it's more how you say developed. I mean, we are young. Yeah, I know. I'm working on that. I'm
still.
working. So,
All right.
well, thank you very much, and we hope to see your film.
Ailin, it was wonderful to meet you.
Soon.
Yeah. For me too.
Yeah.
All
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye, everyone.
For your creation.